So we're here to pay our respects to Mary Jane Sender's Miriam Bas Kalman of blessed memory, beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and a friend. In her passing, it's really the end of an era for her family, having lost her husband many years ago. Her greatest nachas, her joy, was her beautiful family, her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nachas, Stephen and Marcy, Carrie and Tony, Eric and Pam, and their families. Her home, an open home, especially for those in need, a quiet woman, a private woman, a woman who had talents as an artist, but a person who knew her place, a very humble individual. Really, we have a lot to hear from family. I just want to share a thought that I thought maybe helps crystallize how I understood who she was. In this week's Torah portion, Parshas Pinchas, we read, and it's called Parshas Pinchas, even though most of the parsha is not about Pinchas, but about what happened in the week before, when his act of zealotry stopped a terrible plague that was affecting the Jewish people. And the verse tells us that Hashem says, Hineni nosin lo es brisi shalom. For his act of zealotry, he was given the gift of peace, which of course is ironic. For an act of zealotry, he's given peace, but that's what the Torah teaches us. And yet we find that when you look in the Torah, the letter shalom, which is normally spelled shin, lamed, vav, mem, the vav is split. It's what we call a vav katia, a broken vav. As a matter of fact, there are many stories that I'm sure are told in many congregations of the Baal Koreh reading the Torah, running over to the rabbi and saying, Rabbi, there's something wrong with the Torah. The letter vav is split. When in truth that's what it's supposed to be. But what's the message behind this split vav of splitting the letter shalom? It's just a thought that I once heard. We know the word shalom means peace, and the word shalem without a vav means complete. It could be suggested that in order to achieve peace, you have to have people that are shalem or shlemim. If we are comfortable with ourselves, if we have found ourselves, we can live in peace and tranquility with others. On the other hand, if we live lives of turmoil, if we ourselves are confused, unhappy, depressed, it's hard to live lives of peace. Because if we're not happy with ourselves, most likely we won't be happy with others as well. And therefore, the Torah teaches us, Hineni nosin lo es brisi shalom. In order to achieve shalom, first we begin with the word shalem. We take out the vav for a moment and we recognize, are we living lives of completion? Have we found our identity? Do we know whom we are, what we stand for? And once we do that, we can get along with our fellow neighbor, with our fellow Jew, our neighbor next door, our community, and with the Jewish people. And I think, having known Mary Jane a little bit over the years, quiet woman, in the last period of time, went to visit her a handful of times, maybe not enough, at Menorah Park. There were times when the visits were very short because she really didn't want to say much, and there were other times when she actually opened up a little bit. And I got to see a person who, although was reserved, had charm, had personality, reserved, maybe not as outgoing as her blessed husband of memory was, but clearly a woman who was dedicated, committed to her family, to her children, grandchildren, had tremendous nachas from them, and most importantly from her great-grandchildren as well. We hope, and we look forward to the day when death will disappear. We take nachas in the fact that she was zocha to raise a beautiful family, despite a difficult life, losing a parent in infancy, losing a husband at a young age. But she overcame those adversities. She was a shalem or shlema, and therefore she was able to fulfill shalom, to live in peace as well. May she carry that peace into the next world and be a Melita Yosher for her family, for a wonderful family, for her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. We'll now have the opportunity to hear from some of her family members. We'll begin with their oldest grandchild, Rachel Zukowski, will share a few words with us.
are here today to pay our respects and reflect on the special life of my bubby, Mary Jane Miriam Bos-Kallman. I just want to share a few thoughts and memories of mine about my bubby with you. I am the oldest of Bubby's grandchildren, and my memories start off in her house on Shannon Road. Whether it was celebrating birthdays or just going over to play, Bubby was always there with open arms, a smile on her face, and waiting for her hug. I can remember getting the chicken pox in kindergarten, and my mother picking me up from school and taking me over to Bubby for her to give her confirmation that it was in fact chicken pox. I don't remember all the details of that day, but what I do know and what I take away from it now is that she was always there to help under any circumstance with love. We eventually moved from Shannon to University Heights and Bubby to her apartment at the Village. I loved Bubby's apartment. My mother would drop me off and wait in the car while Bubby buzzed me in, and Bubby always left her apartment to walk down the hall to meet me at the elevator. For years, Bubby made the Purim and Hanukkah Sudas meals. I was just telling Aunt Marcy and Uncle Steve yesterday about the brisket she would make. It was hands down the best brisket ever, and over the years, I asked her for the recipe many times and was never able to get my hands on it. How I wish so badly I had that recipe now. Bubby prepared all day for those meals. She made the meals with love, and you could tell from how good the food was. Those meals were about family and spending time together. Birthdays were always celebrated with dinner at Empire and sometimes a movie, but always a birthday card with a check. The check was never much, but to me it was about the one-on-one time I got to spend with her. We always had the best time, and I always look forward to it. In the more recent years, Bubby wasn't in the best shape, but with my dad and my children, Gabriella and Aryeh, we made new memories and experiences with Bubby. For months, every Sunday after swimming lessons, I would meet my dad with the kids at Menorah Park for our visit with Bubby. The kids would run down the hall towards her room with my dad, following behind to go get her. Then I would watch as Gabrielle and Aryeh would take turns pushing Bubby in the wheelchair down the hall towards Pearls. We would get a table, the kids would get their ice cream, and we would have our little date with Bubby. One Sunday, not too long ago, Aryeh was trying to eat his ice cream, and he put the spoon in the cup to try and scoop the ice cream out, and instead it flung right in his hair. Bubby saw the whole thing unfold, and she laughed. I didn't hear her laugh much recently, so to have that little moment was really special. All our Sundays with Bubby were special, and while she didn't talk or interact with the kids much, it didn't matter, because they look forward to their visits, and we're always excited to go. While they are young and probably won't remember, I will, and I could talk to them about it and look back on it fondly and smile and know how special it was that she was able to know her great-grandchildren. The person who appreciated the most, I think, was my father, and I know how much it meant to him that we would make the effort every week to go visit. As I reflect back on the years, I have only fond memories of Bubby. While I will miss her very much, and Sundays won't be the same, I find comfort in the fact that she can now be with Zadie. I hope that after 27 years, they have been reunited and are smiling down on their amazing family with only nachas and pride for what they created. Bubby lived a long, wonderful life, and she passed on surrounded by her family. I hope that she will continue to watch over us, and I will carry all of her love and my memories in my heart forever. I will miss you, Bubby, and love you always.
Steve?
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who came today to show the support for our family. Miriam, the sister of Moshe, had a profound influence on the Jewish people. my mother, Miriam Boskalman, Mary Jane, Mom, and had tremendous inputs on our whole family, just like her namesake. As the only daughter of Polish immigrants, Mom was raised in a household predominantly women. How ironic is it that she later would oversee a household of men, which included my father, Oliver Shalom, my two brothers, Carrie, Eric, and myself. One of the many things I loved about my mother was her great and rather unique laugh and sense of humor. I can still hear her laughing as she would tell me one of her favorite stories about her and Dad. This is a story of their first sukkahs together in Youngstown after they were married in 1948. Wanting to make their first sukkah special, Mom said they weren't able to afford a sukkah, and my father made a sukkah out of a cardboard refrigerator box. So that's what he did. He used his creativity to build the best sukkah any refrigerator manufacturer would be proud of. It even had a window. But unfortunately, on the first night of sukkahs, it rained, and my father refused to leave the sukkah until it collapsed on him, leaving him and all the food soaking wet. She found this one event in time extremely humorous and touching, which goes to show how my mother would take an unfortunate situation and make it light and sweet. Mom was an extremely generous person, too. She cared about everyone. She gave of herself and didn't ask for anything in return. She gave from the heart, no questions asked. There was nothing she wouldn't do for family, no matter the time of the day. A few years ago, my Aunt Edith shared with me a story of how when she was pregnant and moving from Johannesburg, South Africa to Cleveland, how my mother sprang into action and set her up with an OBGYN, a pediatrician, and set up a house they were moving into. This all made a very difficult move much easier. And my aunt is still in awe of my mother and grateful to this day. But Mom also understood the value of tzedakah and its impact on those less fortunate and in need. For many years, she worked as an area representative for the March of Dimes, which collected money for handicapped children. And she instilled the importance of tzedakah in her boys, as did our father. Mom was also an extraordinarily talented artist and always dreamed of becoming a sculptor or a fashion designer. Many of the sculptures that she created adorned her home. Collectively, as a family, we tell her how she should display her work in galleries, but her humble side just wanted them to be viewed by those she loved. When my daughter and her granddaughter Dara started expressing an interest in the arts and fashion as a toddler, it was Mom that immediately took charge in cultivating it in person and over the phone. As Dara grew older, their love of art and fashion formed a very special, unique bond between the two of them, which led Dara to pursue her college and professional career in the arts. Not only was Mom a wonderful mother, but she was a fantastic mother-in-law to my wife Marcy and sister-in-laws Tony and Pam. She loved all three of them like they were her daughters, and there was nothing she wouldn't do to ensure their comfort and happiness. I know this firsthand by how she was at Marcy's side through many moments in our lives, but especially when Marcy's parents passed. Marcy always said it was Mom and her love which got her through these trying times. Mom was also a fantastic bubby and grandma, and was blessed to have seen her 8 grandchildren grow into fine young adults who she loved with all her heart, and then some. Rachel, Eitan, Dara, Josh, Shariella, Avi, Adina, and Elon. I know that each of you have your own remarkable and special memories and individual bonds with Bubby that you will hold forever and always. Mom was additionally blessed to have the joy of being part of her 2 great-grandchildren, Gabriella and Aria's lives. During the last few years of Mom's life, when times were not as easy for her, she persevered through life's many challenges, and though she, and through it all, never lost her sense of humor, positive and realistic outlook on life, and her beautiful smile and great laugh. As I unfortunately was unable to come to Cleveland as often as I would have liked, I want to express my sincere gratitude to my brothers Carrie and Eric and their wives Pam and Tony for caring for Mom as no others could. I know it wasn't always easy, but I knew it was a labor of love, and you couldn't have done a better job. Mom, our whole family will love you and miss you, and you'll remain in our memory forever.
Carrie?
I know I'm going to need these. Please bear with me. This is difficult. On behalf of myself and my family, I wanted to thank you all for coming and paying tribute to my mother, Mary Jane Sanders, Miriam Boscommon. My mother was a beautiful woman, both inside and out. She grew up in a loving home with her mother, grandmother, uncle, and aunt, and she was the center of attention. A wonderful child by all accounts, and she had very fond and vivid memories of those days and would often recount them to us. She was a true child of that generation and the Cleveland 105th Street Jewish experience, which both my parents would speak about all the time. Our parents lived around the corner from each other, and the Clayman family knew of the Sanders family, as my grandfather would walk by their house on Shabbos on the way to shul with his 3 boys in tow. Who knew that years later one of those little knickered boys would become her soulmate? Mom and Dad had a wonderful, long romance and marriage. They had a great group of friends, many of whom were childhood friends, and my brothers and I knew them all. They had 2 distinct group of friends. Their more secular friends from school, and then the one and only Cleveland Heights Young Israel crew. Many of those children are here today, and I am happy to say are my friends. In talking to my cousin Jeff Hirsch and listening to him reminisce about my parents, he made the observation my parents were unique in their crowd. They were a beautiful couple. They had impeccable taste in clothing. They loved to dress up and go out with their friends and dancing and partying. They were artists. Our dad was an incredible singer in Klazen, and our mom a painter and potter. They were very well read, informed, and up on things, and they were very cool in their own way. And although none of us can sing a lick or draw a straight line, they gave us the good stuff, the important stuff. As I look back on those early years, I really don't know how my mother managed 3 very rambunctious boys. I can tell you, living in mortal fear of our father was a huge deterrent to keeping us in check, and one she used regularly. Mom did a wonderful job raising us, and although we lived a simple life without many frills, we wanted for nothing. My brothers and I had wonderful memories of our childhood, and we owe Mom and Dad a great debt of appreciation for providing us a wonderful childhood and upbringing that has served us so well in our lives. Fast forward 25 years, and our family is confronted with the tragic loss of our beloved father, Nelson Sanders, May his neshama have Aliyah. My brothers and I were all married with children, with busy lives, and Mom was faced with a new reality and the loss of her partner of 40 years. And seemingly overnight, and all on her own, she became this independent person and started a new stage of her life with vigor. She watched more grandchildren come into her life. She traveled extensively with her beloved sister and companion, Aunt June Lando, may her neshama have Aliyah. And to me, the most remarkable thing that she did was reestablish her long dormant love and skill of painting and pottery. My brothers and I had no idea she had this in her. She never showed any signs of this while we were growing up, and up to this day, I remain in awe of her talent and, quite frankly, her humility about this incredible gift that she let lie low for so long. I'm so grateful to have so many of the pieces in my house. And I honestly feel a connection with her whenever I look at them. And I look at them every day. My brothers and I had unique relationships with our mom. Mine has developed and evolved over time. We did not always get along that well, and there was tension, and I asked Mom to forgive me for that before she passed. But over the past several years, as Mom got older, our relationship improved greatly. My family and many of my friends know that for a long time, Sunday for me was Mom Day, and most often movie day. We would spend every Sunday deciding what movie we would see. Mom was very hard of hearing, and I don't think she heard much of anything going on in those movies. I would often take her to action flicks because I knew they were easier for her to follow. And it was not uncommon for me to get strange looks from people schlepping my mom with her walker into some real shoot-'em-ups. But we didn't care. Mom was just happy to spend the day with me and me with her. As Mom got more frail, going to movies was no longer an option. But then our relationship evolved again into a daily routine of having dinner together. Actually, she would eat dinner and I would watch and make sure she ate as much as she could. This continued even after she moved to Menora Park. It was our routine. I even brought my grandchildren into this tradition and created Sundays with Bubby. Gabrielle and Aryeh looked forward to coming with Rachel after swimming every Sunday to see Bubby. They would have ice cream and take turns pushing Bubby down the halls in the wheelchair and see the fish and the birds and their favorite merry-go-round. Mom loved it, and I'm thrilled that they will grow up having known their Bubby and be able to relay great memories of spending time with her. In closing, I want to express my deep appreciation to my brother Eric and his sister-in-law Pam and their kids Ariel and Adina. For a long time, they shouldered much of the harder responsibility of taking care of Mom. Steve and Marcy and Dara lived out of town, and I had a full and noisy house with 5 kids. They always made sure Mom was with them for Shabbos and Yom Tov and was taken care of. Many of you know the difficulty of taking care of the needs of older parents. Not just the care, but also the legal and mechanical things that need to be addressed. And Eric has done a masterful job of taking on that responsibility over these many years. Steve and I greatly appreciate you doing that on your own, Eric, and never needing to worry that things were not in order. I want to thank Tony. Mom left us a large apartment full of beautiful things that she spent a lifetime collecting. No other person in the world other than Tony could have just jumped in and made it their business to go through this collection of so many things and be so careful not to throw anything out before it got a thorough examination, and that anything that might have value to someone found a new home. My mom was very happy about that. Mom, you left a wonderful legacy of children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren who will all miss you greatly. We beg your forgiveness for any pain we caused you, and are consoled by the thought that you and Dad will be reunited and will watch over us. We love you and will miss you.
Eric?
Like my brothers, I would sincerely like to thank everybody for being here to honor the life of our mom, Mary Jane Miriam Bat-Kalman. We've been overwhelmed with calls and texts from family and friends, and we are so appreciative and so grateful, especially to those of you who've traveled here from out of town to be here with us. I know, although I cannot see or tell yet if I see my cousin Itzi, I know that my other cousins, Zev and Jonathan, and my uncle David are either here or on their way. And that just means so much to all of us, and also personally to my friends who have come from out of town to be here. It just means a tremendous amount. I'm also very thankful to all of those who've helped make arrangements for the day and for the week to come, especially Tony, our daughter Adina, our cousin Debbie, who's done just amazing things for us, and also my friend Rabbi Bernstein. As some of you may have noticed, my entire family is not here. Pam, Ariella, and her husband Jeff are traveling in the wilds of Africa and possibly even watching this right now. I know that they're very sorry they're not here. They could not have possibly made it back. And I actually encourage them to stay to finish out their once-in-a-lifetime experience. They did, however, send me, via the miracles of WhatsApp, some words to say that they would like to share with everyone. This is from Pam. Mary Jane, Grandma, welcomed me into the family 32 years ago. She was happy to finally have a daughter, and we enjoyed shopping, sharing recipes, books, and movies. Mom became part of our household, and my children were blessed to have their grandma for many, many Shabbatot and Yom Tovim. They loved her soup better than mine, and the kugels that she made. They learned to love art through her. She will be sorely missed, but remembered with love every day. And this is from Ariella. Grandma was an integral part of my childhood and the woman I became. Her love of art and willingness to share her favorite books and movies, National Velvet will always be my favorite, helped guide my interests. She was kind enough to volunteer in our school at Mizrahi, where her love for reading could be shared with many young, inquisitive minds. Grandma was always incredibly supportive of me as well. I'm pretty sure she was the only one as excited as I was when we brought home our dog Sammy, as she reminded Grandma of her beloved Pepper. She even tolerated our crazy cat, allowing her to sleep in her bed and on top of her special pillow. I'm incredibly sad that I cannot be there today with our extended family to honor her life, but I take comfort in the fact that I am off doing something she always loved and encouraged, traveling and following my dreams. Grandma's memory will live on in her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and the many lessons she taught me will never be forgotten. I love you, Grandma. I want to express my appreciation to Steve, Marcy, and Dara, who, while being in New Jersey all these years, had always taken the time to be part of Mom's life and engage her and make her feel special. And I know we are all grateful and thank God that they were here prior to Mom passing. While I thank my brother Kerry for his kind words about me, the words you heard in his own words, how involved he was and how helpful he was to our mom, and also to me as things got more complicated over the last few years. I'm very grateful for his help, his support, and for always being there for me. I think, as was alluded to earlier, our family had an interesting dynamic. Our dad, Nelson, or as most people knew him, Sonny, had a big personality. People were drawn to him. He had a great sense of humor. He was very engaging. And our mom was really very, very much the opposite of that, very reserved, but also, in her own way, extraordinarily welcoming and loving. And the reality is that while our dad got the attention, our mom was the backbone of the family. She was strong, she was caring, and she was supportive. I had the great zechut, the great honor, to be very involved in her life on a daily basis, and very honored that she was very involved in our lives as well. Pam was an amazing daughter-in-law who always welcomed her and made her feel at home. For years and years and years, our mom spent virtually every Shabbat with us, every holiday with us. And Pam not only never complained about it, but looked forward to it. And would probably spend a lot more time speaking with her over the course of these days than I did. Our children, Ariella and Adina, had the amazing zechut, the amazing honor of being able to spend so much time with their grandmother, something not many grandchildren get to do. And we are just so grateful that they had that opportunity. While it is a day that is unavoidably sad, I believe it is much more a day for appreciation to God for what we all have been blessed with. It's a day for amazing memories and a day for gratitude to our mom for giving us everything we have, making us everything we are, and giving us the privilege to share our lives with a truly beautiful person. She passed away the way she lived, with dignity and calm, and surrounded by family. And we are so grateful that we could all be by her side and get a chance to ask for her forgiveness and to tell her that we loved her. And we can have the peace of mind knowing she's now with our dad, her best friend in life. May their neshama both have an aliyah. We love you.
To ask Rabbi Gans to please come up and lead us in the Kelm Alei Rachamim. Please rise.
El Molei Rachamim, Shoichein Bamroimim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechoina, Al Kanfei Ashchina, B'mahalois Kidoishim Utohoirim, Kizohar, Horokia Masirim, Es Nishmas, Miriam Bas Reb Kalman, Shelcha Leilama, Ba'avur she'anachnu mispalelim, Yad Askor As Nishmoso, Began Eden, Tehei menuchaso, Lochein malo rachamim, Yastireo b'seiser knafav le'olamim, V'yitzroir b'tzroir achayim, Es nishmasa, Ahadoino yonachaloso, V'sanuach b'shalom amishkavo, V'noemar amein.
You may be seated. The burial is at the Young Israel section of Zion Memorial Park. Shiva will be at the home of Carrie and Tony Senders, 14393 Washington Boulevard, starting this afternoon. Shacharis throughout the week will be 7 a.m. except for Sunday, 8 a.m. Mincha Marv will be at 8:30 p.m. The Shiva hours will be 9 a.m. till noon, 2 to 5, and 7 to 10 p.m. Again, through Wednesday morning.